In today's video, we're going to have a look at a low time frame trade setup, which ties in with the high time frame. Everything's playing out as per yesterday, where we spoke about the volume being a warning signal and the potential for a pullback. We'll talk about the low time frame trade, how that lines up with that low volume environment, and how that fits into the higher time frame picture. So it's all one big trade that's beginning to play out. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and we'll get straight into the show content. You can look over here on the banter bubbles. Some of the coins are attempting to bounce on the hourly, and this is where the trade setup will be presented. It's on the hourly time frame. And if you look at the daily, though, the daily is still coming down. That tied in with the low volume environment, which we'll relook today. Still a bit of a warning sign, and this is why you need to take each trade one step at a time and not try and count your chickens before they hatch or get too ahead of yourself. So we have a lot of economic data that's coming out. It's probably going to drive the majority of the next big move for the crypto market. This is massive earnings reports, and then also we have of course the Fed funds rate, which is going to be coming out I believe that is tomorrow. It's on Wednesday. We'll look at the economic calendar in a moment. For now, the stock market is still very, very, very strong, and this is kind of driving the general bias of a potential catch-up trade for crypto. If there is going to be a long trade setup, it's going to be based on crypto snapping back and catching up, of course, to the stock market over there. We got the Dow Jones breaking out into new all-time highs, and I'm not closing this trade despite the fact that it's hit the final TP. It's the same thing for the S&P 500. I'm literally just going to continue to remain long on this, and all that I'm going to do is just going to track my stop loss underneath those swing lows over there. So if you do pull back for some sort of a gap fill, because there has been also quite, let's just quickly get that off 1 second. There has been also a gap towards the upside that occurred based off of this strong move, which means you may pull back and fill some of that. So same thing on Dow Jones. I'm not going to close this. I'm just going to trail my stop loss and continue to ride this towards the upside and, you know, enjoy the ride over there. Same thing on NASDAQ. NASDAQ continues to melt towards the upside, and here's your previous swing lows. So basically, you just don't want to see the NASDAQ go back below 585. Any pullbacks that occur there will probably be brought up. And then our next target is 648. What we should do, because we haven't done this in a while, is we should probably have a look at the rest of the stocks over here. We haven't done this for probably a few weeks. So let's look at some of the majors. NVIDIA, still in the trade over there, still have a target of 211. That was the measured move. So NVIDIA still looks okay. Quick look at Tesla, back testing into the mid-range. This is a high time frame mid-range, that being the white line at 411. So the expectation is Tesla could possibly run, which seems very, very, very extreme, but it's really possible in terms of the measured move. If it does play that out, that is literally still another 58% move up to about $717 over there for Tesla. I want to look at some of the crypto-like stocks and what they're doing. So Coinbase still chopping about, holding up over here. There's no clean trade entry, but we did give it at the time. So if you took that trade at the 290 region, you can pretty much just continue to hold that with the tight stop loss underneath. But this one is a very choppy and difficult ride towards the upside, very similar to crypto, really struggling over there. Haven't looked at Circle for quite some time, just range bound, chopping about between 111 and 156. So no comments over there. We have the Robinhood trade, where we try to give multiple. We took the first one. Well, we've actually taken this about 5 or 6 times over the year. But the previous one that we gave was 87. Of course, if you're still in that trade, no need to close it unless you take out this wick low, which is at 120. So the next target for this is going to be 167. And then we have MicroStrategy, which we're in a short trade. I'm not closing the short trade, by the way. I'm going to leave the stop loss even in exactly the same place. So holding this position over here on MicroStrategy, looking for acceptance to be gained underneath 298. 298 is your high time frame mid-range, and if you gain acceptance under that, this is probably going to continue to bleed through, which is very important to understand, because MicroStrategy gives you an indication of where you are in the timing cycle, that you're very, very, very close to the end, if not already at the end, right? Meaning it could be over, but we need to see certain other levels taken out on crypto to confirm that, or Bitcoin to confirm that. So for now, it's been one trade at a time. These are slower moving than crypto, so I thought I'd update you like once a week or so on this. Those are the positions holding. So it's long on the stock market. It's long on the S&P 500, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, long on NVIDIA, long on Tesla, still holding those positions. Coinbase, very sloppy. I didn't take that trade myself, but if you did, you'd still be long on that. And then it's short on MicroStrategy. Those are my stock updates, and we could move on to crypto. Fear and greed index or sentiment indicators still in that doubtful environment where both bulls and bears are fighting it out at 50-50. And we're seeing that also on the long to short ratio, which is very, very similar. Not that negatively skewed. Negative 3.53%, which shows you that shorts are still trying to dominate the market over there. We look for big numbers to create pivot points within the market or reversal points. We're not seeing that yet. And the same thing on the total liquidations. We look for really big numbers, closer to 1 to 2 billion, to show massive reversals. And we're still not seeing that yet, which means that it's still a risky environment to be long as the daily exchange volume moves towards the downside. It's rounding out a little bit at the bottom over there, but it's not enough yet. We need to see a bit of a sharp uptick over there with new volume coming into the market for from bulls. Remember, this has been the chart that we've been looking at. Let's just quickly go to it. There it is. This is what we're looking at yesterday. You can see circled area 1, 2 green candles. Here was your volume profile. Circled area number 2, 3 candles in a row, equal in size in terms of percentage gain. But look at the volume, half the volume between 0.1 and 2. And then you can look at this one over here, almost double the size move over here from bottom to top, 8% versus these ones being 3 to 4%. And look at the volume diminishing off quite aggressively. So you tied that in together. This is everything we're looking at yesterday. We said this is a bit of a warning sign, but the way that you want to view this is you want to see, as long as bulls can defend $100,000 and not break below that into November, there's an opportunity for that catch-up trade, which will slingshot price back in motion with the stock market. That is the higher time frame analysis of what we've been looking at. So we've come into that rejective zone. You know, could you get one more spike up? It's absolutely possible. But ultimately, this is all going to be resistance zones. The bearish order block lines up at the 0.786. That would be an extreme move where I would definitely look for a reversal from that point. Or you have the golden pocket at 118,000. In this instance, you rejected pretty cleanly from the 50% level. You can see actually the wick into that. I'll zoom in for you. There's your orange line, right? Your orange line zooming in, hitting exactly that 50% level and rejecting with low volume and with the daily exchange volume coming down. That tells you don't take longer term positions yet, right? Don't try and swing trade this. You can take the low time frame trades that we've been giving, but those are intraday trades, right? Intra-week, intraday trades. We're not trying to hold positions for weeks to months over here on those current positions. So on the weekly, still above that 21 EMA, which is a good sign, at least as long as you hold above that. Even if you come down and backtest into that, it may present a bit of an opportunity, but you need to use the low time frames to line that up. So we got the MACD still rolling over. It did slow down in terms of the histogram, but your moving averages are still coming down. That's going to take a while to turn back up. And again, the thesis has been don't break below $100,000 while these things have an opportunity to reset, while that RSI chops about over here. I would love to see actually a little bit longer, a little bit more of a reset, something like that, which will be a few more weeks into November. And then you can attempt the upside. That's what we're waiting for over there. So no changes with regards to that on the weekly scale. And then we spoke about yesterday as well, coming into a TV sequential 9 top, which we've now reached. And that was lining up with that rejection off of the key 50% level on the orange line over there. That's what's happened. So now you need to position into buy the dip mentality. There is a low time frame long trade opportunity, which I'll show you as per the Monday range, but this is very, very, very small low time frame stuff. And if you sweep the Monday low, reclaim, you're looking for the long on the low time frame. Let's just quickly tie this in so you understand everything all together. Let's go to that. So this is the trade setup. This is what we're looking at. You can see here's your Monday low, here's your Monday high. So what I'm looking at over here is the potential here for the long trade. Chop about, reclaim that 50 EMA, long trade activates, trade that long into the Monday high. Monday high gets swept, flip short off the Monday high, which lines up with the TD sequential 9 top. Then reposition long off of that. So you sweep the Monday high, come back down, reposition long into a high low, which probably lines up somewhere between the golden pocket and the 50% level, which is 108,000 to 109,960. So let's just call it 108 to 110,000 is your pocket, your entry pocket over here. You can pyramid in, scale into the position within that area. It lines up with the 200 MA and 200 EMA, which is also going to be rising towards the upside. And then hopefully that means you survive before the end of the yellow box over here, which is coming in on the 4th of November, which is where we believe the pendulum will swing from the bears being in control to the bulls being in control, and that will allow bulls to try one more time to get prices higher. So I hope that makes sense. This is still the plan. Nothing has really changed. The only thing yesterday that I said was that I would personally have liked to see price continue to move with strength throughout Monday, print your Monday range, and then I was hoping that you'd run Tuesday towards the upside, sweep the high, then come down, sweep the low, and then look for the long, but it happened the other way around. That's fine. We just adjust and we look for the long now, and then later on when we sweep the high, we look for the short. It's just a quick flip like that in terms of your Monday range trade, but the high time frame, everything is exactly the same. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. And a lot of this has been based off of studying and looking at the USDT dominance, which we said oftentimes it would pull back like a magnet into that 50, 200 EMA golden cross over there where the red cross is above the blue. Price likes to pull back towards that zone like a magnet. And this has been our validation, invalidation, depending on if you're bullish or bearish. In order to get bulls positioned into longer term swing trades, what you have to see is you have to see this level taken out. And we said that's probably not going to happen on the first attempt because this is probably going to hold as support, and that's what's happening. So basically this moving towards the upside over here is going to make a difficult environment. But if you can start to set a lower high in that next time, you may take out this low. All right, this is why you got to be very, very, very nimble and actively manage your positions. You can't really be, willy-nilly, spray and pray where you're just throwing all your money at everything and you're hoping for the best, right? You got to actually actively trade these things and just monitor everything independently, because this is what you need to see. This drawing over here, you need to see a rejection. You need to see rapid acceleration towards the downside, which must happen in the month of November. If we do not drop hard on USDT dominance in the month of November, and instead you continue towards the upside, or you continue to build momentum and strength by chopping about over here, and you start to break out from here, then it's over. Honestly, then it's over. Then the bull market top is probably in, and at that point, Bitcoin is trading under $100,000. Basically, if you see this, if USDT dominance does this, consolidates over here around 5.5%, Bitcoin's under 100K and it's over. So be aware, right? This is why you want to keep your finger on the pulse. But it's always where things are most sketchy that you usually get the best risk to reward trade, just to be clear. Let me know, actually vote in the poll. We are running a poll right now for you guys. How are you currently positioned? How are you positioned into this week's high impact calendar? Are you long, short, flat, hedged? Which way round are you? So most of you, 61% are currently long, 13% are short. And then for those of you that don't know what flat means, 18% flat means that you're not long or short, you're just in a cash position. And there's nothing wrong with that. Being in a cash position is still a cash position. Being hedged means that you have some form of a long and a short on. Maybe you have some options trades to cover yourself in the form of insurance. That's less people because it's a bit more complicated. Alrighty. So, okay. Zcash Master Kyle, should we close now? I bought the last bounce and there we go. We're back, right? Okay, cool. I don't know how that happened. I got muted somehow. Okay, cool. We'll have a look at that. We'll have a look at the Zcash as well, because yes, I am in the trade. So let's check that out. I'm still up quite significantly over here, 580%. We'll get to that in a moment. I do want to talk about that and what to do with that. Let's first finish off over here. We are also quickly looking at the high block capital deltas, which are slowly coming down. If you look at Sonic over here, that one's already gone negative. Asta's gone negative over there, red meaning they're shorting the market. And then you're seeing SUI starting to come down aggressively. It hasn't turned negative yet. ETH, we got little dips of negative flashing off over there, but still got a bit to come down. Solana, same thing, and BTC, the same thing. So if you pull back into these key levels, this is for the medium time frame, guys. So maybe Tuesday we get to play out the Monday low sweep, Tuesday finish off strong, nice and high, sweep the Monday high. That creates a TD sequential 9 top. And then you come down, and as you drop down like this into this area of interest, you see the deltas flip negative, while simultaneously, maybe printing some of that new liquidity on the downside. That becomes a buy the dip opportunity. Right now, you have liquidity building more on the top side at 116,000. I actually want to see how does that 116 line up with the Monday high. So let's just double check it exact. 116.5. Okay, where's 116.5? Well, would you look at that? I did drop this in the Whale Room Discord, by the way, already this morning. This is the long trade over here. Where is 116.5? Well, would you look at that? 116.5 is right over here, exactly at the TP, where we want to look to potentially flip short. So it's a long trade from here up into the Monday high, flip short off of the Monday high potential deviation. You have to wait for confirmation, right? What does confirmation look like? Confirmation looks like this. This is starting to get confirmation. So you're busy pressing up here on the 15-minute time frame. Watch for a little bit of pullbacks over here, a couple of chopping motions with a few wicks coming into the Monday low. Take the long trade. Stop loss goes below. For now, I based my stop loss around this candle over here. That's why my stop is sitting at 112,700. And this is presenting a 2.31 to 1 risk to reward ratio. Trade it towards the upside. Flip short on the deviation. And then the short, you don't need to take the short, but if you want to take the short, you can. Theoretically, it's a worthwhile short because you got a shift in structure on the daily time frame. So if there was ever a time to short, it's going to be off of that Monday high. Short that move down into these zones, 109,900 to 108,000. Always study the momentum as you come into those levels, and then look to flip long over there. And that becomes the final long opportunity. If bulls can't run it off of this long, then there's big trouble. Okay. A lot going on. I'm sure if you're not an active trader and you haven't been in this space for a while, your head is probably going absolutely in circles and spinning. Guys, we're here to help you. Ask the people in the chat over here. Join into Whale Room in the Discord over here. This is where you're going to get a lot more information, right? So I did drop these already ahead of time. You can see it is. There it is. There's the long trade. Dropped early on this morning. So if you're in there, we do help you through everything. Okay, so if you do want to take that as well, by the way, I'm looking to position in using some of my Bitcoin now that's on spot and margin long this. I'm going to be taking that on 𝗞𝗏𝗡. If you want to do the same trade, there is a link over here to 𝗞𝗏𝗡 below. Remember, these guys are giving a massive sign-up bonus. If you deposit, you're getting a huge bonus. It depends on the tiered system that you're looking at here. Just quickly, just have a look over there. So a huge bonus, and that period lasts until the 23rd of November. Okay, cool. So if you want to participate, you've got 26 days left to grab your deposit bonus and take the trades. Let's move on to total. So total is also very important to look at. We got our range breakout area over here. This is the orange line. This is your previous all-time highs flipping into potential support. Luckily, no closing candles have dropped below. This becomes a bearish sign, similar to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin closes below $100,000 on high time frames, it becomes very sketchy, and you have to entertain the possibility that the top is actually in. Well, this is the same thing for the total cryptocurrency market cap. If the total cryptocurrency market cap begins closing below that 3.63 trillion, that's going to be a troubling environment. But if it can hold over here and it can chop about, which I said is not going to be very, healthy looking, it's going to be a sketchy ride. But that chopping environment over here could still have that target in mind of 4.62 trillion. So do keep an eye out on that. Very, very, very important. So moving on to the gravity trade, what should we do at this position? Or not gravity trade, we're trading it on gravity, but it's Zcash, the Zcash trade. Here it is. This was your ascending triangle breakout. This is why I took incremental profits along the way, because I said there is a real possibility that you might pull back into the zone over here one more time. And personally, I don't really want to see it gain acceptance within this. Otherwise, it becomes a deviation and a failed chart pattern, which is not very good. Okay. Let's quickly just roast somebody. Here he says, useless show. I'm sorry that you don't understand anything about trading. Have fun staying poor. Okay, let's continue. Let's have a look at the fib retracements over here. Some people, obviously, they don't understand anything. They think that you must just say long or short and buy here. And I literally give it on a silver platter. I literally said long there. But if you don't have more than a third grade education, I can't help you, because I know 9-year-olds that would know how to take this trade, which is just so unfortunate for you. But have fun staying poor. Anyways, let's continue with Zcash. So let's go into Zcash. These are going to be the important levels on a pullback we're looking at the low over here. There you go. Low to the high. There it is. We're looking at the 50% level in the 0.618. So this is going to, of course, line up with what Bitcoin does. It's very important that you continue to study Bitcoin, because Bitcoin over here, playing out the long trade with the Monday range, means that Zcash might not make it anyways into this, which means that you could just put in a low over here and basically move towards the upside. And you should be looking at Zcash's Monday range as well. So let's go to Zcash on the Monday range to see what's happening over there. And then we can make a more educated decision on whether we should actually close the position. Now, here's our Monday ranges. So let's quickly scroll to the bottom over here. There is your Monday range. As you can see, you don't have a trigger plan yet anyway. You haven't actually swept the Monday range. What you would need to see is you would need to see price first sweep the low. So basically, I'm going to continue to hold the position over here. If you sweep the low and then you start to reclaim with a break of this trend line, that still means a low time frame long trade, which means there's absolutely no point in closing it. Where I would close it is the following. There's a couple of scenarios. A, if you start to just gain acceptance underneath here and you just can't get back above, right? You just keep rejecting that 50 EMA on the 15-minute hourly, etc., just continues to roll over and act as resistance. That does become a little bit of a warning sign. We've already closed the majority of the profits, or not the majority, but a decent amount. I think we closed like, we said yesterday, like 43% of the profits. We have 60% still on. So I'd continue to hold. But one scenario is gaining acceptance under the Monday low, like that. Then you need to exit. The other scenario is in alignment with Bitcoin, sweep the low, run it to the Monday high, and then deviate the Monday high. If you deviate that Monday high, which is going to be pretty similar to where the recent highs have been presented over here again, then of course we're going to exit. Then I'm going to start to exit that position because we're looking at a deeper pullback in Bitcoin that draws you down into these levels over here. Your daily 50% level measured from the low to the high into that pocket. Okay, cool. So we got that out the way. By the way, guys, still trading this on Gravity. This is Zcash, a privacy coin, which has done very, very well. As you can see, traded on Gravity. Gravity has actually partnered with ZK Sync, which is also a privacy network. So very interesting. We're trading the privacy coin on the decentralized perpetual DEX over here that is traded on ZK Sync as a layer 2, which also provides privacy. So we're very private over here at the moment. But what I actually wanted to mention with ZK Sync, these guys have the quickest finality when it comes to privacy chains that's out there. But what's more important is if you compare the fully diluted valuation over here, it's 689 billion. So under a billion, hovering just over that $500 million mark. And if you look at their biggest competitor, which they much quicker than, with much more privacy, it's Polygon, the 𝗏matic, valued at significantly higher, 4 times the valuation, 2 billion. So there could be a bit of an arbitrage trade opportunity if this gap begins to get closed, right? So keep an eye out on that as well for potential future trades. Alrighty, so that's the story with Gravity. If we begin to, also on a swing trade basis, maybe you bought spot on this, then you have a bit of a different positioning. You're not going to be looking to get in and get out too quickly. You might be asking me that because you 15x long like I am, right? If you 15x long, you need to cut the position. Again, just to be clear, upon acceptance below the Monday low. What is acceptance? I don't want to confuse you. What is acceptance? Acceptance is multiple candles. You need to choose the time frame that works for you. Maybe you're using, let's say, the hourly. I would say 3 hourly candles closing below the Monday low means you're probably going to break down much bigger, and then you can just take your profits. Okay, 15-minute chart, I'm not too worried. I would expect probably something like this. And then I think that it's going to hold the Monday low and run up. And the example I've given with the Monday range trade, sweeping the low and running to the high on Bitcoin and Zcash now, is applicable across the board, by the way. You can choose whatever coin you want. Let's have a look at ETH, for example. So there it is. ETH just swept the Monday low. There it is. You've swept the Monday low. A logical place for a stop loss would also be underneath those candles. So we'll change the color to make it nice and crystal clear for you. There we go. Nice and crystal clear. Those are your lows sitting on 4,055. So I wouldn't long it right here. Give it a little bit of time. It's attempting to shift the momentum at the moment, but the thesis would be that somewhere around here, you're going to have your stop loss. And you need to have an active trigger plan, right? So you're looking for something like that. If you can enter upon a little bit more of a sweep below the Monday low on ETH, it's the same trade. Trade it back to the high. Okay, 4,267. Alrighty, let's check the comments over here. Okay. Dan made 100K trading volume yesterday. Well done, Dan. That should be about $2,000 in the airdrop, assuming that our FDVs and calculations are somewhat on par. Very good. 2,000 just for taking trades and making profit, right? It's actually amazing. Like, we're taking real trades. We're not just wash trading over here, long short, just to generate volume. I'm actually looking for real actual trades. So I could theoretically take both the BTC and the ETH long, because remember, I have very little committed in this account. Like, I haven't even used the full amount of the funds. We started with $800. We've run this thing up to 2,648. It was at 3,000, obviously at the height, with the floating P&L over there. All right, so we can look for some opportunities. I have said that I believe it's probably better to remain with the larger cap blue chips, BTC, ETH, Solanas, etc., preferably Bitcoin and Ethereum, because of this chart, because the ETH BTC ratio is still maintaining the opportunity, at least, rather, for a higher low, for a major high low to form over here into a very, very, very key level. So you're chopping about and you're attempting to turn that corner, and you have a clear invalidation in the form of this wick that occurred on the 6th of October. So I think that even if you do get this Tuesday that pumps back above the Monday high, so you sweep yesterday's highs, that's an opportunity, in my opinion, guys. In my opinion, that's an opportunity for you to consolidate a lot of your portfolio, because I don't think that you're going to break through this 121 on the first attempt. This is what we discussed at length on Whale Room yesterday, or Whale School, I mean, during the workshop. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Let me just quickly remove this to give you an example. So there we go. Let's get that off. Let's get that off so it's not so messy. I just want to explain something to you. Okay, so the first thing is we were looking for this yellow line to get cleared. Let's just put it back there. That was Tuesday's high. That was the first thing, to potentially shift the momentum on the daily. But it's about how you approach a key level as well. It's not only about the key level, but it's about how you get to that key level. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, if price rallies without any pullback, so if we don't pull back over here to reset and then attempt this level, but instead price just continues up, I would say 99% you're going to reject from that level hard. And then there's going to be tons of built up liquidity underneath these lows, which means you're probably going to wash through very aggressively, and you even risk taking out those lows. So this is why I say it depends how you approach a level. So everyone wants up only, right? But it's actually a good thing if price rejects over here and slowly comes down to reset, because then the next attempt might have enough momentum to actually break through this level. So as of currently this week, if you hit this level this week, so if we just continue to melt up, I believe this is going to reject, 99% chance. But if we pull back, reset, and then slowly grind up again, you are probably going to pull back another time, but then this becomes much weaker resistance, and the likelihood of breaking it into new all-time highs changes significantly. The point is that we don't know. We're not 100% certain. So you need to assume the worst case scenarios in your trading to protect your capital. And the worst case scenario is actually that you run straight up, you reject hard, and you make new lows, meaning that could be the high, that could be a complacency bounce, and it's all over, which means you don't want to be running around, you know, with 30 or 40 different positions when this happens, if that happens, I should rather say, because how are you going to cut those positions? So anyway, if price runs up today and you do sweep those Monday highs, a bit more excitement will come into the market. You'll see that we back posts. It's on, we so back. All the memes are going to be going around. I think that becomes a good opportunity when you get above that Monday high, even if you don't want to short or exit or any of that stuff, to rather take your 30 positions or 10 positions or whatever it is and consolidate those into less positions. Rather hold a handful of positions. A handful is literally how many fingers do you have? 5. Okay, so don't hold hundreds of positions and stick with the winners, the things that are strong. Okay. Cool. There we go. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys that do understand. There's always someone that doesn't. But for those of you that do, I hope that is very helpful. Okay. What else? What else do we have, guys? Let's see. And there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Like, you can just go through the list. Let's actually do it right now. Let's look at here. Okay, no trade on XRP. Solana, no trade on Solana. SUI did sweep. Look, SUI already swept, but it's run up. You'd have to wait for a bit of a throwback towards the Monday low for a trade. Sonic swept, right? You swept this level over here. Again, you'd need to wait for a bit more of a pullback. But we know that some of these have been notoriously more weak than others. And you typically want to stick with the things that are a little bit stronger. So that's why I'm saying BTC and Ethereum. Say also swept if we get a throwback into that level. You have had Cardano, which has recently just swept. So any little throwback over here, tight stop losses below. But I don't like these, by the way. I'm not going to take any of these. I'm sticking with the things that I believe are stronger, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't want to take chances on all of these weak things over here, but I'm just going through the list to show you. For example, there's Casper, swept the Monday low. So reclaim or gain acceptance over here. You have your stop loss that goes underneath and a potential for a long trade. This one looks bad. This is Tron because you're rejecting now from the Monday low, meaning you're gaining acceptance below. Plasma running up, pump. We got Aster sweeping the Monday low. So a lot of these things, there's going to be opportunities. What else? Ondo sweeping it. BNB has been one of the stronger ones, so maybe you want to keep an eye on. Okay, cool. Also, guys, stay safe out there. Please remain protected. I got messages yesterday from people on Whale School during the workshop that someone got hacked. I couldn't believe it actually this morning. Somebody that reached out to me on, I literally couldn't believe it. I woke up this morning and somebody reached out to me previously on Telegram that was trying to get into school and they had an issue on school. I'm not going to mention the name. Maybe you're watching the show. I could swear they sent me their 24-word seed phrases on Telegram. I have no idea why, but looking at it a bit more, there's too many groceries on the list. So I'm assuming it was a grocery list. I haven't actually counted it, but literally they wrote like milk, cheese, eggs. I'm going to actually look at this right now. One second. Let me just find this message over here. So anyway, the lesson, guys, be safe. Be safe. It says frozen vegetables, eggs, butter, hamburgers, oranges, and it's got this list that look close to about 24 words. Please be careful who you're communicating with. You know that 90% of the time, if you think you're talking to me on Telegram, you're literally not. It's a scammer. It is 100% a scammer. Anyone that says things like, hey, how's your trading going today? They say like, we got a secret trading fund, or we don't talk about this on the show, but I have a secret trading fund. Please be careful, guys. They are trying to scam you. The scammers are very sophisticated. AI is improved. They can do a lot of things. They can copy our voice. That's very easy. I actually had a friend that I worked with overseas, and their family got scammed, thinking that it was me. He messaged me and he said, please, can you give please, can you give my family's money back? I was like, bro, what are you talking about? Obviously, of course, voice notes. He said, I heard all the voice notes, everything. They copy your voice. Be careful. Be careful. Use a VPN. Get a ledger. There is a link in the description below to VPN if you want a savings. I don't know if we have Tangem and Ledger. Yes, we got Tangem as well listed below. And we got Nord over here. You're getting like 70% off, 78% off. Protect your IP, especially if you're in public areas with Wi-Fi. Okay, so just be careful. Be careful, guys. All right, let me check the comments. What else have we got? Let's see. Let's go through the rest. Any other questions? Any other questions before we close off today? I think that the strategy is pretty clear. I've made everything crystal clear. We're attempting the Monday range trade long. We're then looking to flip short off of the Monday high. Let's do a little quick summary for all of you. So there it is. Look at that. BNB catching a bit over here. Long BTC. That was it. That's a trade. Long BTC recovery on Monday low, giving you a 2.31 to 1 risk to reward ratio. Of course, you have to use a form of leverage to play that out. It's a 2.28% move. So you can do the math. If you're on 3x leverage, you're getting almost 10%. If you're on 5x leverage, you're getting more than 10%. So you're trading that to the Monday high. We're looking for weakness at the Monday high and a potential rejection. And the reason that we're looking for that is because that lines up with the TD sequential 9 top. We're looking for that rejection and a 1 to 4 day correction, which lines up with low volume, which tells us that you can't trust the pump, which is why it's a short-term trade opportunity then to flip short. Then we're looking for that short trade to play out back towards the downside and find support somewhere within this cluster that hopefully presents us with a higher low. I genuinely don't know how I can make that any more clear. You know, I really hope that 99.9% of you understand exactly what I'm saying. If you do, if this makes sense to you, please put a 1. If you are retarded, please put a number 2. I'm definitely going to get cancelled at some point. If you understand, just drop a 1 in the chat, please. Okay, let me see. We got a 3. We got a 1. Okay, I know who this person voted for. I know who you voted for. Wait, let's go. Okay, cool. All right, we understand. We understand. Okay, we got an 8. All right, guys, I think that is crystal clear. Genuinely, I don't know. I used to watch people when I was first learning. Nobody made it this clear for me or put on a silver platter. I'm really hoping you understand the plan of action. Use a stop loss. Calculate your risk. Be safe out there. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. I will see you all on the next one. Cheers for now.